So why solar air conditioning? Well, it all kind of has to do with climate variation, and it's really very simple. And it's all about money. The money you pay for electricity. And electricity is used to make cooling, which is what air conditioning is all about. The less cooling you need, the less money you pay. All starts right here, up against the wall, outside your house. It's your air conditioning condensing unit, which does all the work. It basically sucks all the hot air out of your house and blows it to the outside. And as you would figure, when it gets hotter outside, it's harder for this thing to do its job. And as the sun gets brighter during the day, it gets hotter outside. And that makes your condenser and your air conditioning work even harder, and there's really nothing you can do about it unless you had some kind of time machine you could put your condenser unit in. And you'd stick it in the air that was outside your house earlier that morning when it was 20 degrees less. And that means your condenser is going to be working like 30 to 50% less. And as long as we're talking about less and adjusting things, let's talk about the rate at which you pay for electricity, which can be adjusted due to off-peak rates. So now what we can do is we can adjust the temperature that goes to the condenser, and we can adjust the price of electricity that we pay to use the condenser. Wow, this is getting interesting. Now, with this time-shifting condenser, we can really get some savings, perhaps another 30 to 50%. Okay, so what does this all have to do with solar power and air conditioning? Okay, listen up. Here's how it works. So, as the sun gets higher in the sky and the air gets warmer and the sun shines brighter, the more power we're generating with our solar electric system. And wow, that's great. We're getting all this free electricity and we're using it to make air conditioning to cool our house. This is really a good thing. But wait, there's a better way, and this is why we call it solar air conditioning. But really, most of the benefits are coming from the fact that we've got a secret. And our secret is this time-shifting technology. It uses the electricity that we produce with our solar panel during the heat of the day and our magic efficiency improver to our condenser of the cool of the night, all made possible by a computer application and some fancy schmancy hardware that we've added to a conventional air conditioning system. Okay, here's what's happening with conventional solar installations these days. It looks like they're way too busy slapping up solar panels everywhere just to make a buck. Well, I think it's done mostly to compensate for lack of solar capacity in the winter, especially here in Wisconsin. We have a different strategy. We think cooling in summer works best with sunny in summer. Minimizing the amount of solar panels to the point of just enough for air conditioning, because that's what makes the most amount of sense and offers the greatest advantage. And we think it's best to put it opposite curbside and unseen. That's a realtor preference, I'm sure. But of course, it can be put anywhere you want and anywhere you feel is important, as long as it's on a side that faces true south and provides the greatest amount of performance. And one of the most overriding reasons why we want solar panels is because of tax credits. And tax credits are kind of complicated, so we're going to suggest that you go to our website at solaractv.com to find out more about tax credits. Solar federal tax credits, as the name implies, helps you pay for your solar panels, as well as storage, which is generally associated with solar panels in the form of batteries or some type of thermal storage. In this case, we're going to be talking about tanks full of water. This behemoth of a tank, 2,500 gallons, is typically used and seen on earthship houses in Arizona. It's mostly used to hold rainwater, which is also a very good source of thermal storage. And we're using it as an example here so that we can talk about it, because 2,500 gallons is kind of a magic number. Because with that amount of water, at the right temperature, with the right controls and the right equipment, you could probably have enough cool in that tank to keep your house perfectly comfortable for maybe a week in Wisconsin. That's just to make things in perspective. Basically, what we're going to need for our systems is a solar panel that's barely noticeable and a minimum electric battery size and an assortment of all kinds of water storage units. The storage of water is key to our ability to shift temperatures. And because we're only shifting from day to day typically, our needs are not as great. And because our heat pump is configured into this system, we can store solar electric gains as cool for 5 times the power of a simple kilowatt. It's all because of the coefficient of performance normally found in today's modern heat pump systems. We can make that 1 kilowatt solar array act as if it was 5. And because water storage of cool for the AC is a fifth the cost of batteries, like a BOGO, buy one, get one, or better, for lower cost, better efficiency, and a better return on investment. And you will ultimately see that the more ways we can add more solar storage in liquids, the better. Okay, I hope you're not too confused at this point in time, but basically what we're trying to achieve here with our climate changer technology is a utilization of diurnal variations in temperatures. And when we're talking about it here, we're talking about our experience with it here in Wisconsin, where in July you can see a diurnal temperature variation of about 20 degrees. And that temperature variation, ironically for Wisconsin, is just about enough to be usable without the efficiency improvements that you get from a standard heat pump. Normal air-to-water heat exchangers like the one you see here could be configured in such a way as to provide enough cool work pretty well here in Wisconsin. So why don't we do it? Why don't even we think about it? Well, it's because we'd prefer to have the razzmatazz and the confusion of huge solar panels on our roofs. So what we're going to try and do with the rest of our video series here is to convince you of a slightly different alternative that has a little bit of razzmatazz and offers you solar tax credits and performance that you'd expect from modern heat pump systems. When we're going to give you something you can talk about, and you're going to be talking about not so much how big it was or how expensive it was, but how good it works. So from here on out, you're probably going to get a lot more technical, and we're going to try and prove to the solar professionals just how good this thing can work. Okay, so at our website, solaractv.com, is where all this is going to happen. You can get all the copies of all the segments that we're going to produce and maybe get a little bit of insight into our climate changer technology. And I'm sure there's a lot of information that I've missed here that perhaps can be clarified in later episodes and segments all about how this technology is important to you and what you can do about it. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube Movies so that you're continually updated as things change from here forward. It's also a good idea to share and like